Since the moment I came back to this game 2 years ago, I've been trying to make my game feel exactly like the pros feel. And just exactly how smooth it is, how you can aim so much easier, how it's so much more responsive, and other things like how they move, how their movement is so good. And there's a bunch of different settings that they've added in recent times that made these movement tech and even like peripheral tech that most people don't even know about. And some of the things that I've learned from some of my connections in the field, and things like peripherals, where there's even software for peripherals that you wouldn't know about. For example, I have a 240 Zowie monitor. They come in like 500 and 300 ones, but if you didn't know, there's actually software for the monitor. There's monitor presets that make the game look better and have faster response times and have your game register faster in general. This made such a big difference, and with a BenQ Zowie 240Hz monitor, as a good starting point, it still was extremely expensive at $280, but that's just one thing that the pros do to make their game feel that much better. And you wouldn't ever think of it, and it's not like when you get the monitor, it comes with instructions that says you can have presets and stuff. And with those peripherals, there's things like the Huntsman TKLs and all the other fast keyboards that you probably know about. A lot of people wouldn't think it matters that much, but in Fortnite it matters like insanely. You think, oh, it's just so you can edit faster, but it's not just that. Just because you can have your actuations at 0.1 can make your movement 10 times better, because the responsiveness of when you try to slide, the responsiveness of when you jump is critical in the competitive moments, doing 90s or whatever. If you could just like spam your button faster or slide at the exact time you need to, you can make some crazy movement plays and outplay opponents. And a lot of people, I think, are just used to those mechanical ones, and everyone always says the Apex Pro is the best and everything. And I think the Huntsman and it are very similar, and it really doesn't matter which one you get. But it's just good to know that it's not just your editing that you should have at 0.1 milliseconds. It should be everything that you normally use. You can have your jump a little bit less if you don't want it to be jumping all over the place, but I've had no problems with turning it all the way to 0.1. It's made my movement 10 times better. I think one of the real reasons there's so many misconceptions about peripherals and other stuff like that is because I think a lot of people hear about like the peripherals pros are using or other people talking about it, but they never actually like look into like why they're using it and what kind of settings they're using with it. Because it doesn't even matter if you have a new TKL keyboard with the optical switches if you're just not even using the software to change it. So it's kind of just like, how aware are you of what's currently going on, and how aware are you? Like, the biggest issue I think in everything, the people not having optimized PCs, which we'll talk about next, and everything, is just like what you're getting recommended in your feed. A lot of the younger kids that want to be good might not be getting recommended all these optimizations and everything. Which comes to our next thing, settings optimizations. I'm not going to go through that many of them. I'll go through like, I'll show some ones on the screen of like some of the settings in Fortnite that you wouldn't think about. Like, there was a setting that messed me up for the longest time, which was zoom scaling. I've always been running a 0.9 zoom scale, but I always wondered how people could run such low zoom scales. But because the setting I had on was actually changing how zoom scales work, so I had to turn it off, and now I run like 50% or 40%, and it feels like completely different, and it definitely feels a lot better, a lot smoother. You definitely could feel that you're replicating pros more often. And things like that are just like small settings that you turn on or you turn off, like when you first start playing the game, just to test things out. You forget about putting them on, and then they could come back to bite you in the end. Before I get into a few of the main tweak things that I do to my PC, I'm going to quickly go over the last Fortnite settings that I've changed that made my movement like 10 times better. The first one is in the controller settings. This is really weird. It works on keyboard and mouse, so trust me. It's the slide hold time. I turned it all the way down, so the moment you press your crouch button as you're sprinting, you slide. This makes your movement so much more consistent. It makes you like be able to just move so fast with the bats and everything. Makes a world of difference. You add this with toggle sprint, it makes sprinting so much more consistent. You can do other things while you're sprinting. It's like 10 times better than normal sprint. Next, I'll show the few optimizations that I really missed, that really hurt my gameplay for a while, that I finally did in the last few months that it made me so much better. Then I'm also going to show a picture of all my NVIDIA settings, and we'll kind of go to the outro. I appreciate you guys being here, though. I hope these really helped you out. And I know I'm not going to have a whole optimization video. I know there's even other things to download and stuff that I've all done. It's just there's so many other channels. If you just watch enough videos, you kind of get it. There's easy things that like debloat Windows. That's one good source to search up, just debloat Windows. And a lot of those things are just going to make your computer be running less, put less load on your GPU and CPU, so your game can just run smoother, better FPS, less laggy. Things like clearing your temp files are great. Always having your Windows updated, always having your drivers updated for NVIDIA. And yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have an amazing one, and have a good night.